Hell Let Loose is a game of inches. And when you can be more efficient or bring out more potential in yourself and your class or whatever you're doing compared to the enemy, that typically leads to better results. And Hell Let Loose has a lot of such instances, whether you're playing a particular class or loadout, that can lead to you bringing the most out of a class, whether it be a tiny little detail that you do or a different way to play the class or loadout that allows you to play at a higher level than potentially your opponents. So, and since these videos have been kind of popular the last 2 times I've done them, time for another video of 5 ways to improve your gameplay in Hell Let Loose. Now, my usual disclaimers, these are just little tips and tricks. They're not supposed to be game breaking. They're just little things that might help you in a pinch or in certain situations. Also, for this one, I'll be including things about armor and recon compared to the last 2 videos, which were strictly about infantry. Now, in one of my previous videos regarding anti-tank weaponry and understanding it, I talked a lot about things like bazookas, AT guns, and stuff like that, but I really didn't talk about how to aim the rocket launcher. So when it comes to the rocket launchers, there's a bit of drop like anything you shoot, whether it's a gun, a tank shell, whatever. Rocket launchers are the same thing. They have the same principles. After about 50 meters with all of them, whether you're firing the Panzerschreck, the American bazooka, or the British PIAT, they all have about the same drop at about 50 meters. So after about 50 meters, they really start to drop. So you have to compensate accordingly. So what I did was I went to the practice range and I used the test dummies to get the ranges because they actually have the ranges in 25-meter increments. Now, this might seem a little iffy, just considering the fact that in a game you're going to be getting shot at, tanks are going to be moving, etc., etc. But I wanted to harp on just simply knowing how to aim the bazooka, especially if you do get a second or two to aim, or it becomes a reflex action. So you know where to aim and to know that your shots will have at least a higher likelihood of hitting their target. Now, this is also helped by you can zoom in on the rocket launcher sights the same way you can with a gun with the steady aim feature. You just have to be standing still. So to actually put in perspective where you need to be aiming at certain distances, here are some photos from the Hell Let Loose eTool Discord page. These should help you out a little bit, and they're fairly accurate from what testing I've done. So for this one, you have the American and Russian rocket launcher when zoomed in to fire your rockets. Then you have the German Panzerschreck rocket launcher. Then you have the British PIAT rocket launcher. When it comes to destroying vehicles and stuff like that, the anti-tank class always pops into mind. But sometimes the AT class is taken. Is there any way you can destroy other vehicles? Yes, you can. So besides the classes that actually have satchels or rocket launchers, the 2 classes that can actually destroy vehicles without utilizing those things is the machine gunners class and the support class. So the machine gunner is the only class that has a small arms type of weapon that can actually destroy very lightly armored vehicles, such as supply trucks, regular trucks, jeeps, and that's about it. So you are pretty limited in this, but that doesn't mean you still can't inflict damage to, say, supply trucks when they're driving across maybe an open field or a troop transport full of troops. This could be very useful in a couple ways in that sense. Another weapon you can use to take down trucks is the support class's flamethrower loadout. Now, you have to be level 8 to use this loadout, so it does take a while to grind, but it's a fun little weapon to use here and there. To destroy a truck, you essentially need to fire your flamethrower into it. You'll need about 3/4 of your ammo to destroy a truck, so it is a lot, but if you're trying to destroy a supply truck, it might be a good thing to do. But these are 2 little ways you can destroy other vehicles when not being in the AT or anti-tank role for Hell Let Loose. Now, let's throw a scenario at you. Suppose maybe you're on Purple Heart Lane, you're down the middle road, and you destroy an enemy tank, but it's blocking your main road ahead because you gotta get past the bridge. And there's not really a good way around that would result to you being on the battlefield faster. So, what can you do? You try to find another route, or can you go through it? Well, at the cost of a little bit of ammo, you can go through it. So, if you're willing to spend at least 2 armor-piercing rounds or 2 high-explosive rounds, you can clear the wreckage out of your way. You just gotta make sure you aim and actually hit the target. But by doing this, you could save yourself a couple minutes and actually put yourself with the infantry so you don't lose momentum after destroying a couple vehicles, and allow you to at least traverse the battlefield and getting rid of those certain obstacles. Again, very situational, but instead of going around, you still can go through it just at the cost of a little bit of ammo. When playing support, it's a very underrated role. You can use this class to maybe drop supply boxes to get friendly garrisons in the blue zone, maybe coordinate with your guys and do a support swap and get a garrison in the red zone, or even potentially drop ammo for your fellow soldiers, whether it be explosive ammo or small arms ammo. But the one problem with this class is it takes really long to get these supply boxes back, whether that be the ammo boxes or the regular supply box. It takes 5 minutes after dropping these boxes to get them fully back. But there is one way you can cut this time in half. And what you need to do to shorten the time for these supply boxes is to go find a munitions node and a manpower node. So you need the manpower node to get your supply box back, the one that you use to drop 50 supplies for building garrisons, and a munitions box to replenish the ammo boxes you have. Once you're within the 50-meter circle that you can find on the map, it's glowing with the node symbol with the circle around it, as you see on screen now, you can replenish those boxes, or at least and cut it down in half. Now I want to go back and show it off truly how it looks. So I'm going to drop all my supply boxes, and now they're grayed out. I can't open them up now. But as I get closer to the manpower node, you'll notice that the supply box gets filled up halfway. It's now light gray instead of a dark gray. And the same thing will happen when I get closer to the munitions node within the circle, as I've already mentioned. Now they are half filled in. Again, wanted to show this off just so you see what it looks like, but that's a good way to get your stuff back in a faster way, at least. If there's one way to truly improve your gameplay from a gunfight perspective without adjusting any settings or anything like that, it'd be knowing your weapons in and out. Now, this is kind of hard to do because in reality, there's no real area that you can pull from that will tell you the stats of the guns that you're using. So there's a couple things that the community have kind of come together and have figured out about the weapons and their damages that still stands pretty true today. So the photo I have in front of you essentially outlines all the weapons and their damages at certain ranges and essentially where they'll drop off at, where with some guns maybe a 1-shot at a certain distance will then become a 2-shot at certain distances. But then kind of where do you get this at? How does damage affect where you hit a person? Well, that's the next photo I have in here. Essentially where damage does on where you hit the enemy, whether you hit him in the leg, the center mass, the head, and the arms, just to give you some perspective. Now, just a reminder of the disclaimer I had, that these are just little tips and tricks that you might find yourself being able to use in a pinch, in certain situations, and they might help you from a gunfight perspective, experience, just being more efficient, whatever you might find yourself in. Hell Let Loose has a lot of these type of experiences that you might be in certain situations that require certain things, and these might help you. So that's the whole thing with all these tips that I have in mind for you. Now, one thing I also want to add is slight cop-out with the recon bit. There was something I was going to talk about with recon, but I decided to change my mind at the last second, so I apologize for that. But there are some things that do apply to recon anyway, so there's that. But I hope you got something out of this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.